What's up, guys? It's your boy Stevie G coming at you with another episode of the Seamless Garage Podcast. And in this episode, what I want to talk about is the options you have available to you, or the way I see it, with a way to get into the automotive field. Like if you're trying to do repairs or anything like that, like if you want to be a technician, a mechanic, and the options that you have as far as getting in. I think some people just don't have the creativity or the know-how to find a way in, and they think there's only like one direction, and we'll get into that. But before we do, I just want to bring up a couple of things. Look, if you're not already following us, I don't know what platform you're listening to this on, but make sure, if you're trying to keep up with us and you want to know anything automotive or car related, or just builds, or you're into projects, if you're into cars at all, make sure you follow us and hit us up with any questions you got. We're trying to spread the word about all this. We're trying to spread the word on the love of cars. We're trying to spread the word on how to become a better mechanic technician, or how to become a mechanic technician in general, like if you're just trying to get into it. So all of these tips. If you don't know who I am, again, I'm Stevie G, Stevie Gilliland, and I've been in this field for, let's see now, I've been in the field professionally for 11 years, but I've been working on cars, turning wrenches since I was a little kid, since I was like 5 or 6, right? So anyway, grew up doing it on both sides of my family, like throughout my whole life. Everybody, it was all about cars. So that's a little backstory on me, if you didn't know who I was. But anyway, again, if you're new to this, just keep tuning in. I'm telling you, I give life advice. We give updates on the builds, because we have a garage that we do a lot of builds in, custom modifications, all that good stuff. And also, we're here to teach. We're here to teach on what we can do in life. So anyway, we're here to teach what you can do in your mechanic's life. That's what I'm trying to say. So anyway, make sure you follow us on all the platforms: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, or any of the podcast platforms. We're on there, okay? So we're on there. Check us out. But without further ado, let's get into the options you have when becoming a mechanic. All right, so here's the deal. I think that there's a couple of ways to look at it when it comes to options. But I think one of the most common misconceptions in the field, and in a lot of fields, but in this one particularly, I can speak from experience. Everybody thinks that you have to go to a tech school, okay? And that's the new generation. So the newer generations, my age and younger, maybe a little bit older, I'm 30, but my age and younger, believe that you need to go to a tech school. I'm not going to get into my beliefs on why that is, but I will tell you that I feel like that's been pushed down our throats, millennials and then younger. I feel like it's been pushed down our throats that you have to have certain schooling and stuff like that. Like they're just pushing school. You know what I mean? That's kind of what they're doing. Again, I went to UTI, so I did go to a tech school. I was part of that school of thought, but I also knew that I was going to take it serious, and that I wanted to push myself to the limits. I wanted to get as much as I could and get a good start. You know what I mean? Like get a good jump on a start for myself. So anyway, the older generation, older than me, and what I call the old heads, the older generation, the old guard, if you will, they're like, nah, dude, like, why would you need tech schools? Because tech schools started coming around after them, right? So, but to them, it's like, why do you need a tech school? Just get in there and get after it, right? Like, and a lot of them think this, a lot of them think, if you didn't do it when you were a kid, then there's no reason for you to even try to attempt to do that growing up. Like, it's either for you or it's not for you. Now, I still think that's true, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't try. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean that if you get older and you find your love for cars that you shouldn't scratch that itch. I swear to you, you need to scratch any itch that you feel like. Seriously, if it's something that you have found a love for or that you're seriously interested in, you need to give it a shot. You know what I mean? If not, you're gonna be on your deathbed going, man, I wish I would have tried that. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want any regrets in your life. So anyway, all that aside, that's kind of the two school of thoughts that I've seen. And again, I think they just really push school. I think it's for some people, and I think that it's not for others. Okay, everybody learns differently. All right. So anyway, let's get into this. Let's get into some options that you may have if you're an aspiring mechanic technician, or you may be starting over, or like, you may be contemplating. You've been in the field a while, but there's a few people like this. You may be in the field a while, but you're still contemplating going to technical school. So here's the deal. Like I said, it's not a requirement to go to technical school. It's not. Can technical school speed up the process at which you progress through your career? Yes. But I believe only at the beginning. I believe only at the beginning it will progress you. And in fact, it could get you, um, up a few levels, compared to the next guy is what I'm trying to say. Like, you could go up a few levels compared to the next guy that's getting started, right? Like, you're going to be up a couple of rungs on the ladder compared to the guy that didn't go. Sometimes, all right? So, those of you that don't know my story or my background, episode 1, the first ever episode on this podcast, I talk about my background and how I got started. But I really want to redo that again, redo my story later on. I want to do another episode on that because that was my first ever episode, and so it wasn't that great. I'm still working on the way I do these podcasts and the way I convey myself, but it wasn't the best. Anyway, so my story, I graduated from UTI, and I graduated with a 4.0. Like, I took it serious, and when I wasn't at work or school, I was studying. I didn't get very much sleep at all during that whole time. I was grinding. I took this very serious. I went in there with a mindset that I was going to have my own shop. I was going to do modified cars. And I took it very serious. I wanted to soak in everything that was being taught to me. I wanted to learn everything. Okay. And I knew quite a bit already as far as just like, mechanical aptitude. I passed a lot of those mechanical aptitude tests. I aced them. But again, you got to learn, you know what I mean? So they were teaching that stuff, and I just wanted to learn. So, but anyway, came out of UTI, like I said, with a 4.0, killer, right? Killer. Could not find an automotive job. All my friends did. All of my friends that were similar skill levels as me, maybe even not as advanced, but all of them seemed to find mechanics jobs. Now, some of them didn't last, but like some of them made a career out of it, just like I did. And they seemed to find mechanics jobs. I think that I narrowed myself down because I was in a smaller area and there's not as many dealerships in this area that I was looking for. So that could have been it, because a lot of guys got jobs in Houston, which is where UTI was, and in some other local areas there, other big cities. Like, these are big cities with plenty of dealers, man. Everybody's looking for somebody. So anyway, not to go too far into my story, but I started out, I had to find another job that wasn't even automotive, right? And then finally I got into the automotive field, and I started as a lube guy for almost a year, right? Almost a year. Maybe even a little bit longer than a year, but I started out as a lube guy once I got off that other path of not doing what I went to school to do. So, started out in oil at a Toyota dealer, never got moved up the whole time, and then finally I got into a Nissan dealer where I had my certs, and I started out as a tech. So, you'll have those options. You can start out as an oil change guy, or you may start out as a tech. It just really depends on the dealer and what you're willing to put up with. Are you willing to wait long enough for a dealership to start you out as a tech right off the bat? Can you afford that? And are you willing to do that? Are you willing to search around, maybe move out of your area to get that done? Or are you willing to start out as an express guy and work your way up? And I've seen that work really well, by the way. So that's what I'll tell you guys. I'll tell you guys that, yes, did it give me a jump? Nissan certs, UTI, and all that? Yes, because once they gave me that tech position at Nissan, because they gave it to me right away when I got there, I just skyrocketed. I mean, I just went. I showed them everything I could do. I just put my head down and I grinded. I didn't talk about it. I just showed them, and I let everybody else around tell the management how I was doing. You know what I mean? I let my work speak for itself. So, and that's what I mean. I got a raise within the same week that I was there, and then it just progressed after that. I just kept pushing. It's like I had this chip on my shoulder, but I don't know what about. You know what I mean? It wasn't about anybody. It was just about me proving myself, I guess. I think it was that year that I didn't do what I was supposed to do, or I didn't get to do automotive, that I had a chip on my shoulder. And so once I got in the field, it was just kill it. You know what I mean? I just had a point to prove. So anyway, so let's say that you don't go to tech school, you decide not to, or you can't afford it, whatever it is. Let's just call it real here. Some people can't afford to go to school, or you know what I mean, by affording, they're not going to be able to work full time and go to school, and they may have a family to take care of. You know what I mean, you may have discovered this later on in life. So what I'll tell you is you're going to start off like you're going to starve anyway. And I don't mean starve, but I mean, like, let's say that you were in your 30s, maybe 40s, whatever, maybe older than that, and you decide you want to be in the automotive field. Chances are you're in another career right now where you're getting paid better. Like you've moved up a few levels, you know what I mean, and you're getting paid decent pay. But you want to get out of it for whatever reason. You're going to start at the bottom. Like if you don't have any experience, and what I mean by that is like you've got to have like dealership experience or like other shops. You got to have mechanical experience, and you got to have quite a bit for someone to just throw you straight in his main shop. Like you've got to prove it. You got to walk the walk, talk the talk. You got to know what you're talking about. Like you're gonna get asked some really good questions that you got to be able to answer, and you got to seem like a mechanic. So people will be able to read right through you if they know what they're looking for. So let's say you don't have any of that. You're going straight to the lube rack. You're going straight to the lube rack. So that's your option there. Is you're gonna go straight to the lube rack. You have no choice. And you're gonna have to start there. Okay, you're gonna do oil changes, rotates, all that good stuff. The thing with that, the key with that is that you keep on pushing and you keep on reminding management, because they can forget. You keep on reminding management and the higher ups and everybody that you are interested in moving up, and like that's what your plan is. You don't plan on sticking around and lubing oil changes and rotates. You know what I mean? You plan on moving up and getting in the field, like for real. So management, master techs, talk to them. Make sure that you're killing it in your position. Okay, here's the deal. I don't care what it is. I don't care if they got you checking tire pressure. You better make sure that tire pressure is on it, and nobody has to ask a question, right? Like the tire pressure is always on point. Like, when Stevie gets done with tire pressure, we know it's right. We ain't got to double check it. We ain't even got to worry about it. Once it gets up front to the customer, we know that the tire pressure is right. You know what I mean? Like anything you're asked to do it to your best, because that means that you can follow commands. That means you can follow orders. That means that you can hold yourself accountable to your job, regardless of what it is. It doesn't matter how mundane it is or how serious it is. It doesn't matter about any of that. You're going to do it to the best of your ability. That shows a lot about you. Okay? So, coming in as a lube guy, not having any previous experience, any that you can put on paper on a resume, you've got to prove that you're valuable in other ways, because we already know that you're not valuable as a mechanic yet. We already know that you don't have those skills yet, and they're willing to train you, but they need to find a good candidate. Someone who's going to work hard, someone that shows up on time, someone that's always going to do what they're asked to do, someone that always goes the extra mile. You may come in early and stay late, you know what I mean? Those type of things are what's going to get you to that next level, because again, you're trying to bring value in other ways. So you're trying to be helpful. You're trying to do everything you can. You're trying to kill it. All of that is going to set you up for moving up. Now, look, you may not move right on up to the main shop. You may move to used cars, or you may move to what we call like a beeline or like an extended express, where like you'll do brake flushes and service, fluid flushes, services like that, filters, light bulbs. You may do small stuff like brakes, alignments, things like that. Things that are real quick and easy and you can do same day, right? And that you can knock out and you get good at it and you get efficient at it and you can kill it, right? So you may move up to that. That may be your next step, okay? And then again, Same story. Kill it. Whatever you do, kill it. Okay? Just get good at that and kill it. Get as efficient as you can. Work on it. It's going to be new to you. Figure it out. Buy your tools. This is a good time for you to get your tools going and start building that toolbox that you need for when you become a mechanic. Because the last thing you want to do is get asked to be a mechanic and then you're not ready because you don't have the tools. Okay? That's the last thing that you want to do. So anyway, let's say that you don't go Beeline, but then a master tech or another tech is like, hey, I'll take him on as an apprentice. So there's another option. That's another foot in the door as main shop, okay? So that's another foot in the door as a mechanic. So if you go that direction, you need to make sure, again, that you're killing it, all right? So we're going to name that off again. Kill it, and make sure you're paying attention. Make sure you're learning. Make sure that that master tech, that person that's training you, doesn't have to tell you twice about something. If he's got to teach you something twice, then he can find somebody else to do it, right? Like, you want to hold on to every word he says. You know what I mean? You want to hold on to it and you want to learn. And you want to do it his way, okay? You can do it your way once you become a mechanic on your own. But you're going to do it his way when you're his helper. So you need to understand that too. That is something that frustrates me to no end, is that you come out of Express or whatever, you come in and get good graces, now you're helping somebody, and then you want to tell them how to do it. Or you want to reinvent the wheel. No. You're learning from me, right? You're learning from the master tech. So the thing about that is, you're going to do it my way. When I ask you to do something, you're going to do it my way. All right? And you're going to learn my way because you don't have a way just yet. You've never, you may have done it on the side, but you've never done it professionally. You don't have a way just yet. All right? So, again, kill it, move your way up, and then eventually, if you hack it, if you make it, and you don't piss off your master tech that's teaching you, you'll move up and you'll get your own spot as a main shop tech. So that's another option for you. So that's a little path flow there. The other option is maybe they'll move you to used cars. So some people think used cars is a dead end. It's not. Some people love used cars and want to stay in used cars because, again, that's a mechanic. Like, you're a mechanic. Some people don't want to deal with warranty. Some people don't want to deal with some of the dealership BS. So there's some things that they're not willing to deal with, and that's fine. So you can get over there and you can work on cars and used cars, and then you get a good variety as well because you're working on everything. So again, you're gonna have to have your tools ready. So this is why I recommend building your toolbox while you're in Express. If you're really serious, again, don't go out there and buy a Snap-on toolbox and think everybody's gonna look at you and go, "Oh yeah, he's ready and he's prepared." Don't go out there and buy a Snap-on toolbox, man, for your first box. I've got an episode on that. I'll tag it on here on YouTube. Just click on it and you can go to that. But do not buy a Snap-on toolbox for your first box. Like, buy a decent box for a good price. U.S. General does a really good job. And then fill it with the good tools. Fill it with the Snap-ons, Matcos. That's where you invest your money, is in your tools, not your toolbox. Invest your money in your tools, okay? That's what's going to pay the bills. So skills pay the bills and tools pay the bills, right? Tools are what gets it done, helps you do your job better, all right? Toolbox is just going to sit there and look pretty. And if you're sitting there leaning against it and looking pretty, guess what? It ain't making you any money. So anyway, used cars is another direction you can go. Now, all of that aside, let's say that you decide you want to go to tech school. So here's something I recommend. I didn't do it. If I had to redo it, I probably would. I was advised against it. And again, I didn't do it, so I don't know if I would have liked it or not. But a good thing to do if you go into tech school and you get that tech school spot is to try to find you a job in the field. That way you can apply it while you're learning it, okay? Again, something that I was advised against, they were like, hey, advising against burnout, maybe you don't do that. Maybe you do something that's like, totally off so you can take a break, so you can take a mental break. May have been the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Don't know. Maybe I'd be further along if I would apply myself. Maybe I'd have a job down in Houston if I'd apply myself. But I really love where I'm at now, so I'm glad that didn't happen. But anyway, I highly suggest, if you can, to find a job in your field. And Jiffy Lube and some of those oil change places, that's fine. But what I mean is, like, maybe getting into a dealership, still changing oil, but I'm saying get into a dealership and let them know that you're in school and you're trying to learn. And they may even throw you into an apprenticeship program right away. I've seen that happen a lot. That happened to a lot of my friends while I was at UTI. Again, I was advised against that, so I wasn't worried about it. I wasn't even looking for that. Because the way I saw it is that once I graduate UTI, I was going to be leaving anyway. But again, I think that'd be a good idea. That way you can apply what you're learning. And maybe whoever you're with, that you're being an apprentice under, if you're doing that, they can straighten your mind up on some things that you learn in school. Because sometimes you learn stuff and you do apply it in school physically, but you get out into the field and you realize like it meant something else. You know what I mean? Like you got to rearrange the way you think a little bit. You got to pack it all in. So anyway, that's one thing that I would highly suggest you do that'll give you a leg up. I think it will, because then you'll come out. I think that's where I went wrong, like I said, and then I come out and try to get a job and I don't have any experience, but I had this schooling. So it's like, okay, I've got this schooling, but I don't have any experience whatsoever. And I just don't know, like they just wouldn't hire me, even though like I made sure that I showed my personality and my attitude and my go-getter attitude to them, but it wasn't enough. Like that's all talk, right? Like they got to see action. So anyway, like I said, if I had to do it again, I'd probably get a position somewhere just to get that on my resume. Another thing you can do is like while you're going through school, going through classes and stuff, is try to. I know it's expensive, and if you're living on a budget, you're living on a budget, but some of those ASCs you may be able to pass just from going to class, okay? Because now you know some of the parameters and you know the specs and stuff like that, okay? I'm not saying that everybody can pass ASCs just because they go to school, but there are a few that I do believe you can pass. But ASCs are a little bit daunting and scary for people when they first start out. So, but here's the deal: you get some ASCs under your belt, and you graduate from class. You graduate from tech school. Chances are they're probably gonna start you off as a tech or really close to it. Like they're gonna start you off as an apprentice for a couple weeks, couple months, see how you do, and then move you up. So, be prepared for that. That's a good quick way to get through there. But really, that's your options. Now, remember, I'm limited because I'm only talking about, straight up automotive. I'm not talking about diesel and stuff like that. There's some other avenues you can go down. Now, remember, we're talking about mechanics in general. So let's get out of the dealership world. Let's look at some other stuff. You can go to mom and pop shops and stuff like that. The way they work is a lot of times they're going to take you for your word. If you say you're a mechanic, they're going to start you off as a mechanic. A lot of times they may try you out for a little bit, but they're looking for mechanics out there. Everybody is, but you're gonna have a better chance of probably starting out as a mechanic, maybe at like a mom and pop shop, or what I call a mom and pop shop, but an independent shop is what I mean. There's some big independent shops out there that aren't considered mom and pop. So anyway, no disrespect to independent shops, they're killer, man. Some of those independent techs are some of the smartest techs in the world. So, and I do mean that. So because they deal with everything. They deal with everything, and they know the ins and outs of every brand and their common problems with all cars. So I truly do respect independent shops and independent technicians. So, but that may be a way to get you in. You may get as an apprentice shop or a helper position. They may not call it apprentice, but they may call it helper, because you're helping that main tech that it's got so much work that he, it's coming out his ears. You know what I mean? So you may be doing that. So that may be a way to get you in or build your resume. Maybe your goal is to go dealership, but maybe you can do that to build your resume and then get in. You know what I'm saying? Instead of having to worry about messing with the lube thing. But not everybody's goal is to be a dealer, go to a dealer. You know what I mean? My goal originally wasn't to go to a dealer. My goal originally was to build a shop. Well, that takes time, and we're working on that now, right? Like, I talk about that in another episode, but we're working on that now. I gave up that dream while I was at UTI, but we'll talk about that some other time. But now I've got it back. I'm glad that I got it back. I'm driven, and I'm wanting to do this. So anyway, independent shop may be the way to go for you to get started, and you may end up loving it and want to stay there. Other directions that you can go are maybe starting out at like some maintenance places, or maybe like a fleet, like a bus fleet, or like for a company that's got a fleet of vehicles, work trucks and stuff like that. You can start out in there. All these are mechanics positions that you can get, but again, you're going to have that on your resume before you go in there, because hopefully I'm making myself clear. I want to reiterate this. You can't simply just go in and become a mechanic. Tech school or not. Experience working on cars your whole life, but none, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if you don't have actual professional experience. They're not going to hire you on as a technician or mechanic. It's just not going to happen. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. It's too risky. So you need to understand that. You need to drop the ego. You need to drop the attitude if you do have one. And you need to rethink. Like if you're in that position right now, because trust me, I was there. If you're in that position right now and you're frustrated, just stop and rethink. If you owned a business, would you hire a guy off the street, tech school or not, as a mechanic that's going to work on your main shop cars, that's going to work on people's 20, 30,000 and on up, like most people's second largest purchase in their whole life? You're going to let them work on their vehicles, your customers' vehicles, and he doesn't have any experience or anything. You know, I mean, he says he does, but there's no resume. There's nobody you can call to figure out for sure. And you're going to put him in as a tech right off? Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, if you come in there talking that stuff, talking about you're really good and you know what you're doing, and you seem really confident and you kind of seem like you know what you're talking about, chances are, if I'm the dealership owner, the shop owner, whatever, I'm going to throw you with one of my best guys, and we're going to see how you do. I'm going to see what he thinks about you and see how you do. And if you do pretty well and he thinks that you can hang, then we'll put you in his main shop. So I don't want to discourage you. I want you to go in there and tell them what you think. I want you to go in there and let them know, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm trying to kill it. But, you know, be real and understand the reality of the fact is, to them, you have no experience. You lack experience. And so they're not going to just throw you in as a mechanic. So don't get upset about that. Don't get upset about that. But anyway, I just wanted to do this because I have heard from a lot of people. I get messages and I get comments on YouTube asking me about that because they don't have any experience and stuff, and they're kind of losing their way and they're kind of confused, and they end up leaving the field because they end up going somewhere else and doing something else because they can't get a job in a position in their field or, you know, as a mechanic, and that's what they want to do right off bat. And so for you guys, I just want to tell you, don't give up. Do not give up. Keep pushing. Keep going for what you're going for. I don't care what it is. Let's say cars aside and somehow you slipped up on this video. If you're going to be a piano player, nobody, like, go for it. Like, just keep going. Don't let people tell you no. Don't let people tell you no. Prove them wrong. Don't let people tell you no. You just keep pushing until you get what you're after. You know what I'm saying? You get what you're going after. Please. Keep pushing. So, with that being said, guys, again, you're going to have to start in the express rack probably. But just make sure that you stick out and you're different than the other guys. That's all it is. Make sure that you stick out. Make sure that you just keep reminding everybody that you're not there for very long and that you plan on moving up and that you're not going to take no for an answer and that you're going to move up because that's what you want. You've got to go after what you want these days. People aren't going to ask you. People aren't going to ask you to move up. People aren't going to hold your hand or read your mind or just give you a chance. You got to go out there and take it. You got to go out there and get it. You got to go out there and push for it. All right? Otherwise, somebody else is going to take it. And you're going to wish you had done that. So, with that being said, I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. Be on the lookout. We're putting out more content. Like, it's coming. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And if you hop on the Instagram on my personal page, which is The Real Stevie, I'm putting out, you know, motivational encouragement stuff. I'm putting out tips on how to live your life better. All, you know, not just mechanic stuff, but just living your life. And so if you go check that out, I think you might like it. But with that being said, I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.